Hey everyone.
Hey, it's 9/11.
It's 9/11.
9/11
Okay.
for our Wednesday live stream.
Good opening.
What's it? It's been
right.
23 years.
Yeah,
It was
2001.
2001.
2001.
23 year
Been a
anniversary.
minute.
Wow, it seems like forever ago.
Yeah. Do you remember
Oh,
where
boy.
you were?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
I have lots of memories of where I was during different times on that first day.
Mm-hmm.
I was at work in the clinic
Mm-hmm.
when we heard a plane hit one of the towers, and there was speculation: what kind of plane was it? Was like a small, like single engine private plane, and then we heard that another plane hit the second tower,
Yeah.
and at that point it was unequivocally a terrorist attack. Right? It went
Yeah.
from we don't know what's going on to we're under attack.
And everybody had that experience.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
was-
pretty much.
I was driving to a client's site. I was making custom software for them, and I heard Dee Snider. Remember the lead
Oh,
singer
yeah,
of
Twisted Sister.
Yeah.
He used to have a radio show,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, "Oh, a plane hit hit one of the twin towers, and he had no data beyond that."
Yeah.
And then, but they were scared. I could
Yeah.
hear it, and I was like, "Holy crap!" I remember going inside the building and talking to everyone in there who just heard it, and everyone went from like working to like standing up and kind of like,
Yeah.
"What's happening?"
Mhm. Mm-hmm.
And then I got back to my office, and second and third planes had been happening.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we were seeing patients, so we couldn't suspend that. We had to continue to see our
Yeah,
patients.
definitely.
But it didn't take too long until they basically canceled the afternoon and, canceled, I think, the next day. What's also interesting is this never materialized, but again, we didn't know what was happening and how things were going to unfold. And then when like the first tower collapsed and then the second tower collapsed, there was obviously the potential for hundreds, maybe even thousands of people who were injured. And so we're in New Haven, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were in the zone where our hospital was put on alert
Yeah.
for like be ready for a potential influx of patients. So that's what we were getting ready for. It never got to that point, where they were overflowing into Connecticut.
Yep.
But unfortunately, I think it's because most of the people were dead, rather than injured.
Yeah, there wasn't.
When the
anyone
towers
allowed
came
to-
down, it's like you were either in there or you weren't in there.
Well, anyway, it's
But-
good to remember. It's good
Yeah.
to educate kids. Tell them, this happened. My son wanted to know why. why would anybody do that? I'm like, that is such a
Yeah,
good
why would
question.
George Bush do that? I don't. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
And then I had to tell him at
It's a
the
conspiracy.
same time, lots of people think that the whole thing was faked and that the U.S. government. When I did
God.
that, told him that, his brain oozed out of his ear. He was like, "What? Why would you know?"
Yeah. It's still, I mean, it's
It's still
definitely
popular.
died down, but there definitely is still 9/11 truthers out there.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
out there.
certainly.
Still peddling the same bullshit. I just saw a video the other day where it's like video of one of the towers coming down and like 10 floors or something below where you physically see the collapse. You see like an ejection of dust and air, right? And they're trying to say like this is like an explosion or something, but this is physics, right? This is pressure. So the top of the tower falls, it's compressing everything, and it's pushing. The air's got to go somewhere.
But don't you know thermite doesn't burn sideways or something? Isn't that what there's something they said? I don't remember. Yes, you're right, Olivia. The stream has not actually started until we do the intro, which is welcome to Wednesday's stream. We already did that. Let's look at the topics that we're going to go through.
Whoa!
Hide your cats. Hide your dogs.
Hide your dogs.
Then we're going to talk
Someone's
about.
coming eating up your pets up in here.
That's right. Steve's. Well, guess what that is? Mental illness and politics. Although we might do the. It kind of relates. LL Dungeon, you'll see what that
Whoa.
is. Chatters, and then TikToks. Okay, now I can stop the music.
All right, so people asked.
Now we're recording.
Did you watch the debate? The answer is yes, we did.
Mm-hmm.
And, let me just cut right to the chase.
Oh boy.
There were two people up there, and one of
Correct.
them lied at least 33 times.
I think more than that.
Yeah, well, that's I'm looking at websites where people
Yeah.
are going through everything that
counting.
he said. So we thought we would talk not about the people, but about the misinformation.
About some of the
Mhm.
misinformation.
Yeah, and why-
I mean, a description that I've read once that wasn't in this context but applies perfectly is that Trump is basically a pyromaniac in a field of straw men.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He basically constantly attacks not anyone's actual position, not anything that's actually happening, but some kind of fever swamp fantasy dream of what's happening, which has no bearing on reality. That's the hide your cats, hide your dogs thing.
Yeah.
That's a perfect
Let's get
example
to that,
because
yeah.
so that is, first of all, it's an urban legend, right? That these other weird people are eating your pets, right? That's like decades old.
Yeah, when we were kids, we used to
Yeah,
think
I mean,
that Chinese people ate dogs.
Not
Like exclusively, yeah.
not subtly racist,
Just, yeah.
slander
Full.
against immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
And not that they don't eat cats and dogs in other parts of the world, but it's just that they're stealing your pets to do it specifically.
How'd you?
And
I know. I'm sorry. I put it in your head. I shouldn't have.
It's awesome. It's
I'm
awesome.
sorry.
Though. It's a great mashup.
and then it was basically manufactured, false claim.
Outrage.
Yeah,
It's all
and
about anger and outrage.
It was spread by J.D. Vance. It was then shown very quickly that it was an urban myth. It was not true, and which didn't stop him or his allies from spreading it. And I was surprised a little bit, but I guess not really, to hear Trump then reiterate it during the debate. It's like, oh well, I guess he didn't get the memo that they're like ixnay on the Og Day. Like this has already been debunked. Like we're past this one. So that was definitely his most embarrassing moment. But
Yeah.
that was basically the level of information that we're dealing with. Talk about abortions like they're killing babies after they're born. No, they're not. It's like that's not the debate that we're having. It's not right. It's just make up a ridiculous extreme myth and then attack that.
It does seem like he is leaning into that conspiracy-minded stuff, which it did popularize on X or Twitter. The police there say, no reports of pets are stolen, eaten after viral social media posts. It blew up subsequently on Twitter, where they're doing these AI images of like Trump. I don't know why with these cats. I mean, I know why, but also,
God.
I mean, they're just like
Crazy.
they're trying to meme him into the presidency. And then this is the actual moment when he
In
says it.
Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame.
I mean,
in
it's
spring-
it's just like it's about as crazy as Twitter gets, and then he repeated it. So. Apparently there is some weird history that somebody who was maybe having a mental health episode recently, like killed a cat and was starting to eat it in front of police. There's like body cam footage of it. But this person is neither Haitian nor an immigrant.
Yeah.
Nor is it like something that's
The thing is,
happening a lot.
everything has happened somewhere, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that no one's going to say no one has ever stolen somebody's
Sure.
pet and eaten it. We're not saying that. But is this like a problem that we have to deal with? Is this happening on a regular basis? Is this a behavior that we can pin on a community? No, that's bullshit. That is not happening. Right. But you can always find some isolated example or incident of pretty much anything if you're going to cherry pick from the 8 billion people we have living on our planet in order to make some ridiculous point that doesn't have anything to do with anything.
I think we have a believer, whatever, in the chat. Seems like that they're apparently eating geese is the thing. Well, it's like,
Geese?
okay. Or ducks. And it's like, yeah, well, people eat duck. I mean,
Yeah.
like, that's a
And goose.
common
That's
thing. But if you're talking about pets, that's not it.
Yeah, if you listen to what
Boom.
he said they're eating cats and dogs.
People's pets. That's dumb.
yeah.
I live in Ohio. It's bad. Well, yeah, you should move from Ohio. That's to begin with, but that's a different issue. So
Let's go on to the other thing that. Well, there's
he
so
said,
many. There's
yeah,
so
I
many.
mean,
But he said, this blew my mind. He said, I had no inflation, virtually no inflation. He means during his presidency, inflation went up to 9.1% at the end of his term, which is terrible. And this is a good example of, like, I don't know if Trump knows what the truth is.
He doesn't care.
But the point is, yeah, like he will make a statement and then back that statement up to the nth degree and repeat himself.
Well, everything's hyperbole. I mean,
Yeah.
he's what Trump does is classic bullshit, which is a pathological indifference to whether it's true or not. He's not necessarily lying. When you're lying, you know something is wrong, and we don't have to even speculate about what he believes or knows. He appears to be completely indifferent to whether or not something is true. He only evaluates things based upon its rhetorical, what he thinks is the rhetorical value. Of course, that easily backfires. When you go too extreme, then people think that, something wrong with you, not the person you're attacking. The inflation issue has been very frustrating because, like, the reality is, like, I never really see anyone in the media accurately discuss the reality. You get it from economists. If you read economists, basically, yeah, Trump had pretty much the same rate of inflation that Obama had. He inherited that, and it didn't really change much. We were doing well. Inflation was around 2%, which is where the Fed likes to keep it. And then it spiked after the pandemic. And again, like everyone who complains about Obama's inflation, really, can you point to a policy of the Obama administration that caused the inflation? And nobody can do that. At most, they could say the stimulus package, but Trump's stimulus package was even bigger than Biden, so you can't really separate that. So they don't mention that. They can't point to anything. They just say it's just general incompetence. Just the fact that he was in office somehow magically resulted in inflation. It was 100% due to the pandemic and supply line, problems. And then what did the Biden administration do? They did a number of policies to try to deal with that, like investing in jobs and et cetera. And then they basically left the Fed alone to deal with it, which is what you're supposed to do. Right? The Fed is supposed to be independent of political calculus and just do what's best for the economy. It took a couple of years to bring down the inflation, which is now down to 2.5%. It's down to just about where the Fed likes to keep it. So they enacted policies and basically just led the Fed alone, and now it's down under control.
If you guys want to see delusion in real time, she said, we also saw that Harris had her earrings rigged to help her in the debate.
I know this guy's on another level.
So let me explain something to
Boom, eat a Snickers.
Harris
is a
former prosecutor. She's heavily educated. She is unbelievably more intelligent than Donald Trump. You saw it last night, and you have to make up like an excuse of why you don't think that she could talk on her own. You don't think that the vice president can talk on her own and represent reality.
So the other thing is that while inflation, like the cumulative inflation over the last 4 years has been 21%, salaries have increased 25%. They've more than kept pace with it. That doesn't mean that it's equally to everybody or everything, but that's the fact. What that means is that even while we can bring inflation down, like we can't have negative inflation, right? You can't bring prices down because they're already now baked into the economy, right? I mean, how are employers who are now paying 25% more in salary going to reduce their prices? It's too late. It just takes time for people to get used to, like, these are the new prices now,
Let's move on to another one. So
Yeah.
Trump said that, let's see here, a lot of these illegal immigrants coming in, he's implying the Democrats were shipping in illegals, they're trying to get them to vote. I mean, the bottom line is that's illegal. There is zero evidence of that happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's not happening. And that is the last thing that the Democrat Party would do. It's absolutely patently false. It's something that would be easy to prove, because how the hell would an illegal actually get in and vote in the first place?
So let's talk about immigrants for a bit, because there's a lot of misinformation about there, right in our comments, for example. This has been examined over and over again and studied by economists. Look it up. Again, don't trust anything we're saying. Look it up. This information is there. The actual experts, the economists who study this sort of thing, this is out there. Immigrants actually pay more into the government in taxes than they get in benefits,
Yep.
right? They're not costing the country money. Trump spoke a lot about how it's like so bad for the economy that these immigrants are coming in. Economists say that the fact that the economy is doing as well as it is, that we were generating new jobs, blah, 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 is largely due to the immigrants. That if we didn't have them, it would be disastrous for the economy. If you suddenly tried to deport 15 million people from the United States, that would cause a recession, a depression even. That would be a disaster. These people largely fill in the bottom rung of the employment ladder. So there's a net positive effect from immigrants in this country, a net positive effect. They pay more money in taxes, they support the economy, they increase our GDP. That's just a fact. That doesn't mean we don't need to control the border. Of course we do. And there's no debate about that. Everyone agrees that we should control the border and that we should be deciding who comes into the country and who doesn't. But just the fact is, it's not a negative. They're not taking away people's jobs. Listen, unemployment is historically low. So whose jobs are they taking away? It's as low as it can be. There is a certain minimum unemployment rate from people who are between jobs, right? I mean, it's never going to be zero, but it's historically low. It's as low as it can realistically get. So the idea that somehow they're taking away jobs is patently false, no matter how you look at it. These are just the economic facts.
Yeah.
Look them up. Forget the propaganda, forget the political speech, just read economists, see what they say is actually happening.
Someone asked, why does Trump go so hard on immigration? Is it really popular? And the fact is, yeah, it is popular with his base.
It's easy to fearmonger about foreigners.
Trump wanted border issues to be in this election so much that he killed the border bill. I mean, it is a cornerstone of his anger and hate that he puts out there in order to get people to vote for him.
That was really a strategic mistake, I think, on his part, because he basically gave a way to take away perhaps his strongest issue, because then they basically allowed Harris to say exactly what she said. By a strong bipartisan border bill, the Republicans before Trump told them to vote against it, they were saying, this is the best bill we've ever had and we're ever going to get. This is the most conservative border bill.
It is a right-wing bill, yeah.
Imaginable.
I mean, if you heard Langford talk about that border bill,
Langford was apoplectic. He was beside himself. You guys, we're never going to get a bill, even under a Republican president, we're never going to get a bill this good.
He was one of the primary writers of the bill.
Yes.
Before they didn't pass the bill, he was basically showing them all the details that they were getting wrong. You're wrong here, 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 here. This bill is fantastic. And he went into reasons why, and he pointed out one for one, he was showing them, we want this and it's in here. We want this and it's in here. And he went through the whole thing. It was really a sweetheart bill.
It was. And then Trump killed it because he wanted for his own political purpose, and which he could not deny or refute, during the debate. So yeah, I mean the thing is, obviously,
Let's just do one more because this
One more.
This one is just so.
Yeah, go into
Oh, the abortion one?
misinformation one. That
Trump
one is
said you could do
particularly-
abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th month, and probably after birth. Now Trump has said it many times that they're murdering
children.
born babies, like newborn babies.
probable is crazy.
So I mean, all right. So first of all, this is not the debate. This is not the position of the Harris or the pro-choice movement. They want protection for so that women can make decisions with their physicians during the period of viability, right? After the period of viability is where things get very complicated. And but I don't think there's any state, and no one is saying that after the point of viability, that you can have a purely voluntary abortion,
Elective, yeah.
right? Just because I decided in my 9th month that I don't want to have a kid, or after the kid's born, you know what? Get rid of it. I don't want it. That doesn't exist. Again,
Yeah.
that's a blatant straw man.
Exactly.
The only complexity is when sometimes, in the 8th or 9th month, a child may be not viable. Right? It may be the child is just not
Reaching.
either not going to be born alive, or it has anencephaly. Right?
Steve, are you gay?
Don't read the
Homosexual? I
chat.
can't help. It's funny.
I know.
I mean, I'm gonna read back. I might collect all
The
these.
guy's
and-
too excited. It's
Yes,
like,
we're gay.
calm
Just
down,
again,
buddy.
You got. Wait. I just want to say this.
I can block him,
We
but
could
it's-
just
got us.
Kamala Harris
We're-
and let him impeach himself
I know.
by making
We're wrong
increasingly
because
ridiculous
we're gay,
things.
Steve. That's what this guy's saying. We're wrong because we're a homosexual. Wow, man. Wow, your world must be so fucking bad to live in if you're saying shit
But the
like
thing
that.
is, that's why you can't say unequivocally you could never have an abortion in the 8th or 9th month because sometimes it's medically necessary.
Right.
So there's medical abortions are a complicated discussion that again you should have with your physician. And when I don't know what the quote he pulled out of after the child's born, we'll wait and see what happens to it. The only time that's the case again is when the child is not viable.
Yeah.
And these are all medical things. So you have the sort of medical issues after the point of viability, and then you have pro-choice up to the point of viability, and that's the position. But Trump can't argue against that because that's what most Americans believe. That's the most popular position. So he invents this absolute fantasy straw man about what the other side is championing, and that's what he argues against.
I
But
like what
it's-
Harris said in response to.
Yeah.
She said, "They're telling you what you can do with your body or can't do with your body after basically you've been raped by
Yeah.
it could be incest or whatever." So right, and then she said, and then they're
Rape.
telling you
So
what you can't do with your body after the fact. So you can't do this beforehand. You can't do this after. It's and why would we think that this situation isn't going to get worse than it is? Why would they stop here?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we know what the pro-life side wants to do. The people who basically elected Trump to get rid of Roe v. Wade. We know what they want to do, and now he's trying to pretend like he's not going to do that. You know what I mean? All right, let's move beyond this.
No, forget it.
I know it's fine. It's so sad. It's funny, but
It's like
Oh, he
it's
got
too
us. We're
fun.
not men.
It's
Steve.
stop,
too
JJ.
fun.
Stop
I
feeding
can't
the troll.
help it.
You're
This guy-
feeding
I
the
think
troll.
this guy
You're
likes to
feeding
jerk
the
I
I
troll.
know, but that's
He called us a fruitcake.
I know. I would
Right?
have
I love that.
So you
I was gonna
clearly
call him a
are
boomer, but that's
siloed
suffice.
in an information bubble,
Yeah.
and you need to get out of that
Yes,
bubble.
we support
and,
killing
and
babies.
search.
It's
Search.
sick.
Don't believe anything we're saying. Search
an
out
emoji this
information
time.
from all sides. Everyone should do this. Whatever information bubble you're in, especially politically, you need to get outside of it. You need to see what the other side is saying,
Yeah.
why they're saying it. You need to go to objective sources as much as possible
Definitely.
to see if you could at least have some common ground of facts. That's what you need to do. Again, we'd never tell anybody to believe what we're saying, on our own authority, which we don't have. It's just the information is out there. Ian, the background is wrong, by the way.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That
Oh,
is
boy.
inappropriate. I can't
Somebody
believe
said that
did
I need more of the.
He's a fast
the
typer, I will
Swiss
say.
chocolate that Olivia gave us.
Oh,
I,
my God.
I concur. I mean, I don't know why it's taking her this long to even mail this stuff to us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's set it up on a Amazon, how they send you automatically.
Automatic every 6
yeah.
weeks you get your Swiss chocolate.
She
I
doesn't
know-
want to come back to America.
Olivia,
She'll
I
get
know
stuck.
how expensive it is. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
Don't-
we
don't
appreciate
you
it.
dare.
Yeah.
No bubble. No
Yeah,
bubble.
we're
You're
kidding.
a bubble.
We're kidding.
Okay, so
dude's excited. That
I
dude's
will
really
shut my
excited for
computer
us.
and we will move on to some of the crazy TikToks that we found.
Oh yeah. So well, we could. So there is some other stuff
Okay.
after we've gone through.
What was
Hybrid
Steve's?
Steve's. So this is a oldie maybe, but a goodie. Where is that? Project Steve.
Oh, yeah.
You familiar with this?
Yes, I am very familiar with it. I
would
have the
think so.
T-shirt. I
You
literally
have
have
the
the T-shirt.
He's one of them. He's paid by Big Steve. Everybody, hold on. Let me put this away. and set
Project
this one.
Steve. I like
Project Steve. Here, let's just listen to
Project Steve is a big list of scientists named Steve, or a variation of Steve, that believe in evolution. It's a tongue-in-cheek response to a thing that creationist groups like this one like to do. They get any type of scientist they can to sign a document saying they dismiss or doubt evolution. It's an attempt to validate their anti-scientific stance. So Project Steve is a bit of a lighthearted joke. They say they did not wish to mislead the public into thinking that scientific issues are decided by who has the longer list of scientists. Still, it turns out that about 1% of scientists are named Steve or a variation of Steve. So for every 100 scientists out there, one of them is named Steven, Stefan, Stefan, Esteban, Stephanie, or something like that. But despite having such a restricted list of scientists to draw from, Project Steve has acquired 1,497 Steve's signatures as of May 22nd, 2024. The list is longer and has way more eminent scientists on it than any creationist list. And here's the full statement they signed if you want to pause to read it. About 2/3 of the Steves on the list are biologists, and almost all of the Steves are PhDs. But there are also a few medical doctors and PhDs of education. Also, isn't it really weird that people who don't believe in science end up reverting to science and science-sounding terminology and methodology in their attempts to thwart actual scientific understanding? It's almost like they inherently know that science is the best way to acquire, accredit, demonstrate, and disperse knowledge.
Yeah, it was a fun project. You
Yeah.
know,
Are you in the pocket of Big Steve?
I am. I was one of the early signers when it first came out, and yeah, it was just like it was a way to mock the creationists. Like, oh look, we have 20 scientists who say creationism is real. It's like, okay, we could come up with more Steve's scientists who say that evolution is the consensus of opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So are you happy your name is Steve?
Yes, yes, and they did it because I think of Stephen Gould,
Mm-hmm.
and was there another Steve? I think that was.
Yeah,
I
the Project Steve. I forget who started it. Hold on, I guess let me look at this. Project Steve. Steve. Oh, wait, it didn't say it. Where is it? I think Stephen J. Gould. And is there another Steve?
I think that was why.
think that was,
it was
yeah.
an homage to Stephen Jay Gould.
Yeah,
Do people still know who Stephen Jay Gould was?
I don't know.
He died like 20 years ago.
Yeah,
Long time ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So he
2002. Yeah,
yeah, he's an evolutionary biologist
He
at
is.
Harvard who was an author, a science communicator. He had a monthly column in I forget the name of the magazine. It was some popular magazine of natural history. I think it might have been Natural History. And then he parlayed those into a series of books. He was an excellent writer. He was an absolute master of the essay as a form of writing, and someone after whom I style my own writings. So he's a huge influence on my own science communication. Excellent science communicator. And of course, you know his insights into evolutionary biology and and creationism as pseudoscience, but also just how to think about complex systems and et cetera, was amazing.
Thank you, Stanks. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay.
All hail Steve's.
Yeah. Steve, you're worth $2.
Thank you.
So, what was the other one you had, Ian?
So yeah, there's a couple others. Let's go through that. We could go on to mental illness and politics, although I think we might have
Thought we
addressed
kinda
that a
covered
little
that
bit,
today, right?
especially with a chatter or so.
Well, I mean, the thing
Um,
is, the bottom line of the point I was making when I wrote that article,
Which is on the NES.
which is a neurological blog, is that we should not make political points in mental illness terminology,
Right.
right?
Yep.
That it's cheap, it's often wrong, And the vast majority of people who are, so everybody actually, either if you're not an expert, you have absolutely no business talking in clinical mental health terminology.
Certainly.
And if are an expert, it's pretty much unethical for you to do that in a public forum, right? So there really isn't a context in which it's legitimate. Now, part of what I was responding to was the oft-used Trump derangement syndrome accusation, which is really a way of saying, that it's gaslighting, right? It's deliberate, very deliberate gaslighting when you're saying that Trump said something bizarre and off kilter, and you respond to that like a normal human being would. The problem is with you. You're deranged, and the problem wasn't with what Trump said, right? If Trump says, people are eating dogs and cats, and you're like, well, that's not true, and whatever, that's a racist comment, like, you're just deranged. That's the sort of the response to it. And it's specifically framed in clinical terminology to make it seem like it has some kind of real, clinical diagnosis to it. But there's just enough plausible deniability to say it's tongue in cheek. We don't really mean that they have a diagnosis, but they are deranged, but they actually really are deranged. It could be a diagnosis, but we're not saying that it is, but it could be. You know what I mean? That's kind of they want the sort of respectability and sort of gravitas of a clinical diagnosis without being held to it, or or own the fact that they're actually doing it. And there is actually a long history of using mental illness as a way of oppressing political dissidents. It's not like this is happening in a historical vacuum. It's probably still happening in oppressive countries around the world like Russia, where you take a political dissident and you say they're crazy, and you put them in an institution, which is really a prison. So, the best thing to do is if you're not an expert, just don't frame things in clinical terminology.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's tempting, but just don't do it. You really have no business doing it.
I just gotta ban a few bots real quick. Hold on.
Okay. We have bots on?
Oh yeah, we have like a couple bots that are using fake accounts, and then they're just botting our thing. So let's see. There is this one, French Cornichon. That seems like a likely username that somebody would have. Let me ban you. There you go. Okay, thank you. Let's come back. Any more bots? Show yourself so I can smash you.
The next guy that comes on
So
says,
I can smash.
"You banned Bomb Chicka Bam and French Cornicon. What's
Yeah.
going on?" Like,
I'm not allowed to have free speech. No, you're not allowed to have free speech here. Go out in the public square and yell to your heart's content, you
I mean,
ding dong.
if the person was posting questions and we had a legitimate dialogue, that's one thing. But like, just I don't know.
No, it's literally just a bot. It's just like it's
When
actually
you
not.
Is that
start-
most of the internet
Not even
now
a
bots talking to?
I mean,
Oh,
but-
so that's an interesting one. What is that one called? The dead internet theory, I think it's
Yeah.
called. Dead internet theory. Let's look at that. So you guys know this?
Yeah.
Tell me all about it.
So
Talk
Steve,
to me
maybe
about
you
it like
know
I don't
about
know.
it. Yeah.
Just what I think. Just what I know about is what I said. The idea that most of communication on the internet is bots talking to other bots.
Yeah, isn't
Right.
that crazy?
It's a conspiracy theory, apparently, according to Wikipedia, although it's not so far down the rabbit hole that it seems implausible, but maybe it is still technically that. Although, manipulation by algorithmic curation does seem to suggest that bots might be able to, ride that algorithm wave easier.
But this is nothing.
That's
This
right.
is nothing.
Thanks for being a
compa-
sponsor. Anyways, thanks.
Yeah, thanks,
Anyway, go
man.
ahead. Go
This is nothing compared to when AIs are going to talk to each other. Like, because we'll have AI assistants and they'll communicate with each other. It's going to really get deep when that starts happening.
More bots.
I'm wondering about the new iPhone that's coming out. Like, I know that
16 now, is it?
the chip was designed to run AI software on it. So
Yeah.
I'm just wondering what it's going to come with. They're really not saying that much yet about it, but
Mm-hmm.
be interested. I mean, I definitely want AI. I want an AI assistant. I really want that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the hard part, right? Isn't it? Like getting to that level right now is pretty. I can understand it's intricate too to like integrate with all the different features. Although that would be the great thing. Right now, it seems like stealing, or not stealing, but focusing on art and text and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It seems maybe there is like a hurdle that is hard to overcome by being like a do everything for you kind of assistant that we don't know yet.
Yeah.
It's using OpenAI, I think. Yeah, I think Elon said something about he's like going to ban iPhones if it has it in it or whatever.
Wait, who said that? Elon said he's
Elon.
going to ban iPhones?
At Twitter,
On
if
Twitter.
they have AI in it for
Oh
whatever
boy, talk about a
reason.
bad business strategy.
Yeah.
Why don't you just set your building on fire at this point? I mean, what
That
is
might actually, he could collect the insurance.
Yeah, at least he'll get some insurance. I mean, that's,
aren't there 3 R's in strawberry? We
Yes.
don't know. Okay, we don't know. We're not sure. As
It's
of
a
yet.
mystery. We're
Still a
investigating it. It's under investigation.
that was
okay?
crazy. That was crazy.
How do you guys think the dead internet theory will affect the Wayback Machine? The Wayback Machine kind of like impresses me. I still don't know the underlying like mechanic. It stores so much information.
I can't imagine they have the space. Like it just,
You know, like there is a limit to what they're storing to some degree.
Yeah.
The dynamic information, I know they don't entirely
Yeah, they
store
can't.
perfectly.
but I mean, every website that I've ever worked with that I've searched on there is there.
Mm-hmm.
Like even
It's true.
even small like stuff that is meaningless, you know, and like very like early stuff. So it's amazing that they're doing it because the internet is a living, changing thing that we can never put your thumb on. I mean, you could go back to 2017 and see websites the way that they were. I think that's fantastic.
But it is interesting to think about how when things evolve because of the existence of bots and now AI powered bots. And like one of the things that the large language models do well now is pretend to be a person,
Yes.
right? And in a casual conversation, you may not, especially in like the kind of shorthand of internet speak, you may not. It's getting harder and harder to realize if you're talking to an AI or to a person.
Yeah.
So there's no question that it's already a thing to some extent. It's going to increasingly become a thing that you're never going to know if you're talking to a real person or an AI
Yeah.
on the internet, right?
Well, I think, from a customer service perspective, I worked tangentially with customer service because I worked in e-commerce. And there's a lot of interplay between those two. Training humans to become product experts is difficult,
Yeah.
especially if the company owns a lot of different products with variations on those products. And then, then there's versions of those products
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's 3D. It's a very 3D type of thing. And you have to, store an incredible amount of information in your head. This is where I think AI would work very well because you would be able to easily train it on your data. And then you would have an infinite number of, agents because it's software can give as much information as anybody needs to any number of people. You won't be on hold because it's just another, it's just another AI that's doing it. I think that there are tons of applications like that.
Yeah.
Where AI is going to be amazing.
Well, I hope so.
Amazing.
I hope
Yeah.
so. Thank you, Marina, for the gifted. I don't know if you guys saw this. She gifted. I'm
Thank
assuming
you.
She,
Awesome. Thank you very
they
much.
gifted 5 memberships. So congrats to whoever got it.
Someone asked about the trucker hat. We have trucker
Yes.
hats.
Well,
We bring
they
them to
are
events.
Yes, they are right now event only.
They are event only.
However, we are looking at like getting them to be on our shop that we can send them to their shop and then you can order them from there. It's a little bit complicated.
Well, that's
but
we're
we're working on it.
Yeah, it's super expensive to like get things fulfilled, get them shipped and everything. And I had a run-in with you. I told you about like my run-in with shipping stuff, right? Ian, we've talked about this.
From here?
Me, shipping books. We've
Oh,
talked
well,
about
that
this, right?
is a whole nother. Yes. Okay.
So-
We're never going to ship books again. I promise.
but
Jake.
fulfilling stuff, just the fulfillment process of swag
Yes.
is horrible. It's a horrible waste of time. It's a terrible thing to do
Yeah.
because it is so mindless and repetitive, and I can't do it.
Yeah.
And to get a company to do it, you have to rent space in their warehouse, and then you're paying these people like
Yeah, it depends.
not an insignificant.
It's better to
amount.
do like on-demand fulfillment.
Yeah. The problem with the on-demand store that we have currently is that the hats are not as good as the ones that we get.
Yeah,
So-
it's not always the best quality.
That's why we might put out a feeler if there's like 50 people who want hats, then we'll send them to our storage, whatever those people fulfillment, and they would hopefully
That's
go
not a
really
bad
quick.
idea. Like
You know,
if
they'll
we
go
did
really
a
quick.
pre-order,
Yeah.
we had like whoever wants them, and like, yes, I'm going to do it, blah blah blah, that type of thing. Then we could do it where they're all sent out in one day out of some place. and
We'll
we don't
figure
have to-
that out.
They sell well at live events, though.
People love 'em.
We're like burning
That's the
through our
thing.
inventory very quickly.
That's the thing. Yeah. So we will try to do that. Next book when? Ooh.
Yeah, we got ideas.
I don't, let's
Got
just go
ideas.
on that one. Just
We really can't talk about
We
that.
can't talk about that. Anyway, so
So there are plans for a third book. We could say that.
Yes.
And there isn't a single word written on down at this point because it's only in the idea phase right now.
Yeah.
But we are. Yes, we definitely want to write a third book,
Yeah.
and we have a plan to do one, and it's
I want a
in
hat.
The way it works is
formulation stage.
Steve writes down his idea on a piece of paper and he pushes it across the table to me and Bob very slowly, and then we look at it, and then we just look at each other.
Yeah.
We don't really say anything.
Right. Exactly.
It's like, did you know Stephen King? When Stephen King comes up with his
know,
next book
March.
ideas, right? The legend is that he writes the title of the book down on a piece of paper, goes to his publisher, pushes the paper to them.
Yeah.
They look at it, and then they decide what they're going to give him. Like, okay, we're going to give you $70 million.
Yeah,
whatever. I mean, he
Yeah.
he makes that kind of money.
Yeah, you want more merch? I know that's something. It's on the list. We're gonna work our way through that. And for anybody wondering about the memberships on YouTube, it's just a way to get a little icon and some emotes, and then you can support us on YouTube. It's not the same as Patreon. If you want to get the ad-free episode and all the other fun stuff, go to patreon.com/skepticsguide. And pretty soon they're gonna have gifting of patron memberships.
Yes,
but
that's coming.
YouTube right now has YouTube memberships. So it's that right now, in the future, hopefully we'll expand the YouTube offerings, and then you will get some more fun stuff out of that. But right now, we appreciate you just.
If you have cool swag ideas,
And you can-
email me at
definitely.
and put in
the
the
Skeptics,
subject
yeah.
swag
So
ideas.
right now, talking about swag.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
talk
let's
about
go.
swag.
Talk about swag.
There's boxes in front of us.
Oh my God, we have so much swag down here. Unfortunately, especially the T-shirts are the worst because
Coins.
you always get down to like the dregs. You basically like you
Yeah.
sell off all the larges and extra larges, and then you have we have smalls,
And
mediums,
triple X.
triple X, and then like what do you do at that point?
Yeah.
Because no matter how much we try to get the number correct, it's a moving target, and it's never could dial it in exactly. So you're always going to run out of a size.
Yeah.
And then people get annoyed when you bring a T-shirt to an event and you don't have every size. We still do it because we have to.
Yeah.
But cut us a break, or you have to replace the missing sizes. But that's just you're constantly then filling out your inventory.
But
So
you know what a lot of people do though, Steve?
What's that?
They don't buy smalls and double X.
Yeah.
They just get medium, large, and X and double X. Like you just don't go out to those periphery, and you just.
Yeah, but then it's in people who are those sizes get annoyed.
I
They
know.
don't
I'm
have
just
their
saying that
size.
this is what people in the swag world do. They buy very limited numbers of those outer sizes.
Yeah. So anyway, we're currently managing our T-shirt inventory. I think the other way strategy is to just keep it to a very few T-shirts rather than just constantly getting new T-shirts that we then have like the leftovers for. But
Except for
we're-
the on-demand stuff. Then
the on-demand stuff's the on-demand stuff. We're talking
Yeah.
about our physical inventory that
Yeah.
we bring to events. People, thank you for liking the coins. I love the. I'm very happy with the coins as well.
Thank you, Ken. Really
Here's
appreciate
our
it.
generic SGU coin. We also have our Eclipse coin. We have a 1,000th episode coin. There will
Can
be
you put
other.
it more in the middle so they can see?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
good.
so we this one.
The other way.
Here, give it to me, I'll
Down
do it.
there.
There
you go.
So
It's not
this is
focusing
this
on
is
me.
our SGU coin, which we will keep.
fine.
We'll always keep in stock. And then we'll do like one-time runs of specialty coins that will be collector's items because we're never going to print more Eclipse coins. We're never going to print more 1,000th episode coins. We probably will have a 20-year coin. We have 20 years coming up.
That's right.
You can't
Pretty
prove
soon.
that.
And that's going to be maybe around the time of something.
Yes.
Which I don't know
Nauticon.
if we're. Yeah, okay. We actually did talk about that.
There will be
Nauticon.
another Nauticon.
Yeah, there will be
we-
another Nauticon.
I'm
and
trying to
some
make it
other-
happen right now. It's
Yeah.
I'm discovering
Uh-oh.
Yes.
that hotels in DC are blazingly expensive. Like they are super expensive.
You might have to go. What about even like in Virginia, like Arlington?
Yeah.
I'm all over that.
Yeah,
They-
they're kind of similarly
Yeah,
priced.
they're
oddly.
similarly priced and largely unavailable.
Yeah, so there's that. We'll figure that
yeah,
out.
so
I
we're
want an
working on it.
SGU action figure and an Ian Transformer. Okay.
Oh, I
That
would
turns
buy the
into a
Ian
water
Transformer.
All right, so
okay.
there's two two swag items I have my eye on to expand
Yeah, you can
into.
do that too.
So one is just we don't have a SGU water bottle,
That's true.
and so I want to do that. But there's so many different options. I haven't settled on one yet. We
Thanks for
could
the
either
gift.
have. I like the aluminum ones.
Thank you, Olivia.
SGU NFTs. We talked about that before. We were like, oh wait, NFTs kind of suck.
They kind of.
I mean,
Yeah,
what
we're-
would they
those
be?
early,
You
and
know,
we were
like, what
like-
are we?
We weren't sure. We were like, is NFTs a good idea? And then it's like, oh wait, no. it's like this
I'm
is
feeling
bad.
good about it.
Forget it.
I mean,
It's a bad.
All right,
It's
so
a
the
bad.
water bottle thing.
The
Steve,
water bottle.
Not a
So-
good idea, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
Because they're really big, and they're so.
Well, for-
and if they're stainless steel, they're heavy, and they're
No, but
really.
there is a print on demand option. Then they're
Sure.
decent.
Do you
They're
think
decent.
do you think they're too bulky to bring to live events?
Yeah, they're just too big.
Possibly.
You can't bring that many. You'd
a
have to-
can cozy is not a bad idea.
Yeah, a can cozy's fine.
That's
How about
not
a
bad
tea
idea.
cozy?
Oh, how about a cozy?
I haven't seen
Snuggle.
a tea. The other one that I want to get is because I saw on like a swag.
Steve
site,
wants SGU underwear.
no
Oh.
is a battery
Dice.
backup to like recharge your
Oh,
phone.
yeah.
Oh yes,
definitely.
a bank.
Because they're
Yeah.
pretty bank. They're pretty small.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we wouldn't have a lot of them, but you could get them branded.
Yeah.
You know, and
Oh.
they have the ones that are the wireless, like you just
Mm-hmm.
put your phone on it and it charges.
We were thinking D&D dice, D20s or something like that,
D&D
right?
dice?
Maybe
Yes, that'd be
SGU
fun.
dice. That might be.
How would you
Doable.
brand that though?
You could probably put like SGU somewhere around it, or like the
Mm.
one is SGU, right?
Yeah.
Like that could
Yeah.
be like the most obvious
Well,
one.
I'd want the high number to be the SGU.
The 20?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Steve
just-
could be the 20, and then everybody else down from there. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
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 And we could do them in
we
our
could figure that
colors.
out.
But let's all agree though
Yeah.
All right,
That
I like the dice.
that the SGU
Not bad.
trucker hat is the best
It
piece of
is
swag
one
of
of the
all.
best. Yeah.
It's all right.
I spent a
Steve doesn't wear hats as frequently, so
I have a big head. I don't look good. in hats.
Sharon wants an oven mitt. We're making up. You know,
that's not a bad
real.
idea.
I bought the
actually.
best oven mitts, and if I could turn them into swag, they would be freaking awesome.
All right, we're off the rails. Hold on, let's get back on to the
yeah,
rails.
that's
So
sorry.
let's
We're
go to
talking here.
You mentioned
They're
large
chatting
language.
about
I
it.
know you mentioned large language models, so I want to go into large language dungeon. Also, the 1,000 tier on Patreon is a kind of a joke. I was working on something. I left it at one person because if one crazy person did sign up, that would be cool. But I was actually just working on something to get it to work on the back end of Patreon. Anyway,
phone cases, yeah. The problem with phone cases,
Too
so
many
we
of them.
change.
the problem is that there's so many different phones and
Yeah.
they're changing all the time. We don't want to get stuck with
Oh,
inventory.
wait. Stop the presses.
It'd have to be a
SGU
flame-
flamethrower.
That cannot be
Oh,
legal.
man,
that
let's do
cannot
it.
be legal.
I always wanted to use one.
There's no
I
legality.
don't know if they're scary as hell to use or if they're
Yeah.
amazingly cool. Whatever.
Here's the thing. It could be spelled out skeptics now, and then I'm thinking on the dice.
Yeah.
On the ones, but S for like a D20,
Yep.
a K for a D6 or whatever the common. I don't play D&D, so I don't know any of this crap. But like whatever you buy the set and you get the skeptic set. Anyway, there we go. We figured it out. Maybe.
I mean, SGU tarot cards could
Tarot
be cool
cards,
because
that would be pretty funny.
we would put famous science and skeptics as the
That's true.
as the imagery, which would be cool.
All right, let's move on to large language dungeon, which this is a AI dungeon that Nosy, I always want to say Noisy Nick from the Discord, but Nosy Nick sent me this and was like, hey, you guys were talking about this AI games, and here's one that exists.
Okay.
So play online for free. It's a short one because it doesn't give you the full access unless you like sign up and all that stuff.
Okay.
But we're just not going to sign up. So let's hit start your first adventure.
Okay, here
hit
we
the
go.
start button.
I'm getting scared.
Okay, as you should, because it's very tense.
All right,
So
we
what do you
want-
want?
Steve, what do you want to do here?
Fantasy, mystery, zombies, apocalyptic, cyberpunk, archive, or custom?
Apocalyptic.
Apocalyptic.
That's
We
what I
both
chose
agree.
too.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just like
Seems the most.
it seems the most interesting.
What are we, Steve?
Soldier, courier, or survivor?
Survivor. I agree.
Oh,
Hey,
interesting.
I'm agreeing with you.
I was a courier, but that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. Enter your character's name.
Frankie Gismore.
Okay, come on, man. Haywood?
remember this.
Is it
Haywood
Okay.
Jablow.
Come on.
Mr. Jablomi.
No. Give me a name.
Frank.
Okay, fine. That's somebody's name, Frank. With a K or with a Q? Or
No,
okay.
K.
All right, fine.
That's
QUE.
Frank.
FRANQUE.
Frank. All right, you are Frank, a survivor trying to survive in a post-apocalyptic world by scavenging among the ruins of what is left. You have a backpack and a canteen. You haven't eaten in 2 days, so you're desperately searching for food. You enter a rundown building and dim light filters through the dusty windows.
So wait, is this a text adventure?
It is. It's like it's Zork or whatever.
Let's
Yeah.
do it. No, we're here.
Hold on. I should have some music. Royalty-free apocalypse music.
Oh, here it comes.
Here we go. Let's see. Okay, let's see the dramatic apocalypse music.
Oh, yeah, here we
It's
go.
not bad.
All right, lower your voice and talk a little slower.
I'm so sorry. And dim light filters through the dusty window.
You have to do like the inner world.
In a world.
In a world, casting elongated shadows on the dirty floors, the building appears to be an old supermarket. The shelves picked clean long ago. A faint smell of decay lingers in the air, hinting at the presence of some long-forgotten cargo. In the far corner, you spot a faint glimmer. It's a crushed can of beans, its label mostly peeled off. So we can take a turn, we can continue, we can retry or erase.
Wait. We want to do something.
Yeah. So take a turn is you can write what you want to do.
Okay, do
You can
it.
continue and it just automatically does stuff. Retry, it rewrites it, and erase, you could like edit what
No,
is
let's
in
do
there.
take a turn.
Take a turn?
All right, lower the music a little bit.
So sorry.
Open the can.
Open.
Wait, well, yeah, open
How
the
do you?
can.
Okay, but that's true.
Oh,
Okay.
we don't have a can opener.
Well, try to. You can
Use
say
my
try.
dagger.
So you can do, you can say, you can story, or see.
Do.
Okay, do.
Do open the can.
Okay. Open the can of beans, let's say. Here we go. It's thinking. It's like you're stupid. Okay. You carefully approach the can of
Why would
beans.
we be careful approaching the beans?
It could be a bomb. It's
All
a
right,
trap.
okay, yeah.
The silence in the abandoned supermarket. Making
that music down.
How loud is it? You
It's
can
very
hear.
loud.
It's really
in
loud in
my
our
ears.
ears.
Oh, maybe I'm. Okay, is that better?
Ian disappeared
hear
in
it?
the music.
Can you hear it at
I
all?
hope.
or no?
I don't know what they're hearing. Ask guys. Is the music too loud for you out there?
Is it loud for you still?
It's
Yes,
very
it's
loud.
very loud.
Oh shit! Hold on. Sorry. Hands, is that better?
Thank you.
That's better.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay.
It must be pre-fadering.
They don't hear music.
I
That's
got. Yeah. Let me pose. It
Oh,
must be
Mr.
pre-fadering.
Vader.
Yeah,
That's
you're missing
probably
half
why.
the experience.
No, I could.
The stream doesn't hear the music.
You hear it now?
Mr.
There you go.
Vader.
Now you got it. Okay. Anyway, beans, magical fruit. Yes.
Yes.
Abandoned
heard that,
supermarket,
heard that.
making every tiny sound echo through the vast space. As you reach out to pick up the can, you notice a faint layer of dust coating its surface, indicating that it has been here for quite some time. With a careful grip, you lift the can and inspect it closely. The can itself seems to be in relatively good condition, with no major dents or rust damaging its surface.
Okay, well, open the can.
Open the can. You carefully examine the can's edges and find a small tab to pull. With a bit of effort, you manage to pry it open. A loud hiss releases the trapped air within, and the smell of old preserved beans wafts up to your nostrils. The contents appear to be in edible condition, though they might not taste as fresh as you'd hope. Given your current state of hunger, you decide to consume the beans.
But wait, now slow down. We didn't tell it that we wanted to eat the beans.
Yeah, it's railroading us.
It is
Ian.
railroading.
Ooh, that is true. We can edit. We can erase.
Well, don't. No, it's a waste of time. Let's keep. All right, we ate the beans.
Well, you could. Okay. Well, if you're complaining about railroading.
All right, go ahead. What are we gonna erase? The last
I don't know.
action.
Let's see what it does. It erases the whole thing.
Okay.
Oh, it's not good.
Let's just continue.
All right.
You open the can.
Can's
Wait,
open.
relatively good. So, should we say
Eat the beans.
Eat the beans. All right,
These
now we're actually
Totuki
going to
said,
do.
as
Now that
Kara
we
would
say
say.
it,
What is happening?
we opened it. You carefully pry open the can of beans using your pocket knife. Oh, different. The sound of the lid being peeled back echoing through the empty supermarket. Inside, the beans have a slimy texture and a peculiar smell, but your hunger outweighs any doubts. You scoop up a handful of beans and bring them to your mouth, cautiously tasting them. The beans are slightly mushy and have a faint metallic taste from the can, but they are otherwise edible.
Okay. As far as role playing goes, this is about as boring as it gets.
It's not terrible,
No,
but
well,
you
I'll-
can. Let's make it. You
All
know
right,
what
let's
I
do
mean?
something crazy.
Okay, let's go.
All right. Tell
what do we
them
want to do?
We set the bomb off.
What bomb?
Whatever. Let's see if we have a bomb.
So
Didn't say we-
we could say, we could story, we could,
all right, we say out
we
loud.
could say, damn, these are the best beans I ever done eat.
Ooh, no, okay. Yeah.
I say we had enough beans. Okay, what should we say? Or what
Say,
should we do?
we're gonna say
My
out loud.
freedoms.
Is anybody there? Let's get some suspense. in
Hello?
here. Yeah, there you go.
Is anybody there? After taking a few mouthfuls of beans, you pause and listen intently, your voice echoing through the deserted supermarket. The silence is almost deafening, and the only response you get is the distant sound of the wind howling outside. You scan the area, your gaze sweeping over the empty shelves and dusty floors, but there's no sign of life anywhere.
Yeah, you know what? This sucks. Let's not do this.
What? It's fine.
You
It's
know,
not the worst.
It sucks. We tried.
Do something. Okay, fine. Set off the bomb.
Do it. That's it, and then we're done. Please set the.
Take out the briefcase. Wait, briefcase nuclear device and
Detonate.
Detonate. I can't spell. Detonate.
All right, let's see what this AI does.
As you call out, your voice echoes through the abandoned supermarket, but there's no response. Suddenly, you remember the briefcase nuclear device you've been carrying with you. You take it out, your hands shaking with a mix of hunger and anticipation. You quickly input the code to arm the device and hold it tightly,
Oh my
feeling the weight of
God.
its destructive power in your hands. You take a deep breath and press the button.
This AI is yes and.
It's yes and.
Yes,
It's gonna
and.
say that.
No, TikTok,
There it
shut up.
is. No, that's the bomb going off, man.
You realize it was all a dream, and you've been stuck on TikTok for the last.
Oh my God.
Any other thing you want?
Nah, we did it.
Move on.
Game's over.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no fun. Okay. Do you die and the game ends?
Okay, let's see what
Boom.
the AI says.
A blinding flash of light fills the supermarket, followed by an intense wave of heat and sound. The force of the explosion sends you flying back. That's
No,
it?
it vaporizes.
Yeah.
You're at points.
We got,
You're right there. What the hell?
we got kicked up. Wait a minute. There we're back. What happened to the screen share? Oh, there it is. Your body crashing into rows of empty shelves with a loud metallic clang. The world around you quickly turns into a blur of colors and sounds as the nuclear device detonates, reducing the supermarket and everything around it to a rubble and ash. Except for you, apparently.
The end.
The end. Okay. Bye.
No, don't
Okay,
read it.
as
I
the
don't want-
reality
I don't
says-
want-
No,
no.
All right, we're done.
This thing is like freaking.
It's
my
not the
God,
worst, but
it's-
like you could see that it's like it's got some stuff.
it keeps talking.
I know. The games talk. There's a lot of Walking Dead games that are as boring as this. they're a little long-winded. Yeah, it was a nuclear
Nuclear warfare toe to toe with the Ruskies. Who knows what movie that is from?
I know what movie that's from.
I know you know.
Chatters.
Is it chat now?
Come on, chat. So we could move on to the tickety tucks.
Or are we going to do a YouTube video? From
Oh, let's go to the
That
YouTube. video. You're right.
YouTubes.
Let's switch
The
the
YouTubes.
background.
Go back to the Q&A.
There's the Q&A. All right, let me stop recording here. Stop recording there. My video feed is gone. Is it just me? I think so.
Yeah.
Oot. Oh, wait. hold
Open
on.
a new browser. See what happens.
Oh, wait. Hold on. No, you might be right. I might have... This is on TikTok. Why did it disappear? Scenes?
Yes, it's Dr. Strangelove.
Good
There
job,
we
guys.
go. Couldn't hide it. OBS virtual cam died. Why did it die? When TikTok yelled at me, it stopped. Hold on, there you go. You get a little behind the scenes action.
Yeah.
And then there it is. Boom. Ah! It's too big.
Too much nuclear talk.
Too much? Who? Like
Dr.
Trump did.
Strangelove and the quantum realm.
Yeah, it was too much.
Trump did mention nuclear warming. Everyone's worried about global warming, nuclear warming. All right, we're back. And we are Did I stop?
All right. What topic did you want to discuss, Steve?
AI in medicine.
AI in medicine from his science-based medicine. Hold on. Science-based medicine article, which I'll just show for a moment.
Did you get the newsletter phrase, Ian?
I didn't. Yeah, give me the phrase. I didn't ask for that. I know. I have to write the email. I'm a little behind on that one because it's a 1,000 show and I don't have all the stuff.
So that image on my blog post, you will be unsurprised to discover I made with ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Now, that was like the 8th or 9th iteration that I did. Basically saying, show me a picture of a physician using AI as a tool in the clinical setting. Something like that, right? That was my prompt. 100% of the time, when I ask ChatGPT to show me a physician, a doctor, it shows me a white guy. 100% of the time.
Yep.
I had to say specifically, I want a black female doctor in order to get that image. Then I also said it also 100% of the time portrays the AI as a robot.
That's
And I said, I don't want a picture of a robot. And could not get it to completely eliminate the robot from the picture. At least now the robot is just part of an image. It's not like physically present in the clinic. But
Does this
whatever.
mean robots want free healthcare? Is that what they're
Yeah.
implying? They're like, hey, you should be treating us, not humans. It's a waste of your resources. All right, go ahead and give me a phrase, y'all, if you want to be in the email for this week while we're getting set up. And make sure you subscribe or check out Science-Based Medicine if you want some excellent articles written by a team of scientific writers and scientists and doctors and et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of good stuff. Some people don't even know about it from the SGU, so you should head on over there. I like asking it to create an image of rocket surgery.
Rocket surgery.
What am I, a rocket surgeon?
Guys, I got to leave here in 15 minutes. So
Okay, let's
do it.
go. Here we go. All right. we're
Hard
ready.
out or
Hard
just
out.
about?
It's a
15?
hard out because my wife just got home from her trip,
My
her
wife.
work trip, and she said that she's like collapsing from being tired because she's like,
So it's a soft out. Got it.
no, it's a hard out because I got to pick Dylan up.
Yeah.
My,
I got to go pick him up, pick the
From
kid
where?
up. School.
Your kid's still in school.
Escuela. Oh yeah.
Let's go then.
All
Okay.
right. Wait a minute. Let me hit start and let me hit start and let me shut off my mic and.
Steve, apparently, artificial intelligence has made it to the hospital or into the exam room, and you blogged about this.
Yeah. So
What's the deal?
I mean, there's, I think it was interesting to sort of keep up to date on how artificial intelligence is doing as an actual tool, that people are using in the real world. And as a physician, I'm very interested in the use of AI in a clinical setting. The AI has some very, I think, interesting strengths and weaknesses when it comes to that kind of application. And we're still, I think, in the kind of hype phase of AI, although I think we might be getting to the post-hype phase a little bit, where initially we were hearing all kinds of crazy claims about what AI can do, and we've been using it pretty extensively for the last couple of years, and it is very powerful, but also has interesting limitations. So how does all of that translate to actually treating patients, right?
Yeah.
So there's a few, and it's interesting to think about it as a clinician, because you think, what do I do cognitively, like mentally, as a clinician, like as a physician? So there's, I think, one thing that these large language model and neural network kind of AIs, these trainable AIs, on large data sets do that is very powerful, and that is pattern recognition, right? If you show it thousands of examples of something, it gets very good at detecting that thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Out of even a very noisy environment. So this is like perfect for diagnosis. You show it 1,000 pictures of x-rays with a tumor, a lung cancer or something on there. It gets very good at then detecting it in x-rays.
That's great, and they use it today.
They're using it today, yeah. So it's essentially as an assistant as a tool used by a radiologist, for example, as an expert. It's not obviously taking over for people. Right? People are not being taken out of the loop at any point. But to say that, okay, we're going to have, and this is more primitive versions of this kind of diagnostic tools, computer-driven diagnostic tools, have been around for probably 20 years. Whether it's again like reading an X-ray or detecting seizures in an EEG, for example, basically pattern recognizing, pathological patterns in diagnostic tests.
Do you have it at your hospital?
Yeah, absolutely. But now we're seeing like this new crop of AIs, and are like, how much better are they going to be at it? And the evidence is showing that it's fantastic. That these AIs perform very well, and there's an obvious marker, right, in terms of like how well are they performing, and that marker is is it better than actual human physicians?
Right.
And
Or should it just help a physician?
but I'm saying, like, you can say, well, how good is it at detecting things? How good is that reading an X-ray,
Yeah.
whatever, reading an EKG, reading anything where that you have to look at information and decide if it's normal or abnormal, and pretty much across the board in any kind of pattern recognition, diagnostic exercise, the large language models that are trained on that data outperform humans.
By how
right?
much?
It depends on what the task is. Sometimes it's just barely. Sometimes it's significantly, and also depends on what's the level of expertise of the physician. You're talking about students, residents,
Yeah, of course.
attendings, specialists, subspecialists. So obviously, the more specialized the doctor, the less of room for improvement there is. But even when you're talking about experts, like the actual specialists in an area, AIs. If they're sufficiently trained, et cetera, and if it's operating in their sweet spot of this kind of activity, can perform as well or outperform physicians. But there are other tasks that we perform as well in the clinic. So one is what is thought of more as analytical, right? So one is sort of pattern recognizing, sort of pulling a signal out of noise. Another one is going through a specific analysis, meaning like if you have this symptom and this exam finding and this outcome on a laboratory test, what's the probability that you have a specific diagnosis, right? It's very statistically driven, predictive value driven. What's the sensitivity and specificity of this test for this indication in this context? And that's very information driven, right? And computers, of course, are very good at that as well because they can have vast amounts of data at their disposal.
Right.
Whereas physicians, we train for years and hyper specialize to be able to have that information, to keep up to date on it, on very specific questions. But it's easy to get overwhelmed, right? And so whenever AIs are tested against physicians on those kinds of tasks, they outperform physicians because they just have access to all the information all the time.
Right.
Whereas physicians are human, and so there's going to be gaps or mistakes or errors. But then, so I think that's not surprising, right? Yes, AI is good at doing what computers do well, pattern recognition and chugging through tons of specific data.
Okay.
But there's been recent studies looking at more language-based tasks, right? Which is where, again, the large language models now get hit their stride. So,
Like giving someone a diagnosis.
so one is generating a differential diagnosis. But here's the thing that's interesting, and this is one thing that we've talked about a lot in terms of artificial intelligence, especially with the large language models. Large language models don't think. They don't know anything. Right? They're just language simulators, really. But as such, they do a remarkably good job of simulating human thought, because thought and language are obviously very closely related things. And so even if it's just doesn't really know what it's doing, but it's just simulating human thinking through simulating human language, how does it do simulating clinical decision making, like high level clinical thinking? How would you think? What would you predict? Like
It's a
ChatGPT 4.
Right. It's a great question. So it would be trained. Sorry, excuse me.
You start giving a fresh start.
Yeah. Okay, this is a great question. It has to be trained. I think if it was trained well, I think that it would do equal to or maybe a little bit better than humans.
So there's a standard measure of clinical decision that is used to evaluate, fellows, et cetera.
What's that called?
And I forget the technical name. But basically, what you do is you give a number of cases. And there's like different stages to the cases. Like, take a history, do an examination, you do a differential diagnosis, and you order testing, right? So you're basically doing clinical decision making at different steps of the process of evaluating and diagnosing a patient, and then your decision making gets evaluated by an objective panel of experts, right?
Yep.
So they gave a residents, attendings, and ChatGPT 20 cases to then give their clinical decision making on, and they rated them on a 1 to 10 scale.
So independent people
then read it and say, did this person
Got it,
do a
got
good
it.
job?
Right.
The residents on average got 8 out of 10.
Okay.
The
That's not bad.
attendings on average got 9 out of 10. ChatGPT on average got 10 out of 10.
Wow.
So now it's not just here's facts or that's a tumor on the x-ray. It's like going through a clinical decision-making process of, I think this is what's going on with this patient based upon the symptoms.
How
that
many
they're telling me.
iterations did they test it
There were
on?
20 cases.
Is that enough, do you
That's
feel?
a lot. That's a lot.
Okay.
So that was kind of surprising.
What does that make you feel like as a physician?
So, well, again, the thing is, because ChatGPT can't think, and because it still has weaknesses like hallucinations, for example, and it doesn't really have actual judgment. It's just sort of simulating clinical decision
Yeah.
through simulating language. You still need a person in the loop,
Sure.
right, to actually make decisions. Plus, clinical decisions are often individualized. It's not just like what is the one right thing to do. It's here's the trade-offs, and let me help you think through what trade-offs you want to make. Like, is this medication, the benefits of it, worth the side effects? That's an individual decision. A computer can't make that decision for you.
But is there a net gain to it being able to do this?
So that's a good question. We'll get to that in a second. So another area where large language models have been evaluated is in the basically bedside manner, right? How does it make the patient feel?
Okay.
How does the patient feel about their interaction with the ChatGPT? And there, it also outperforms people. Wow, right?
Wait, this is them reading text. This
Yes.
isn't a human looking at them.
So they're reading basically like if you're chatting with a physician or chatting with ChatGPT, which one has the better bedside manner?
Wow.
So yeah, that's interesting as well. So then you ask the question, does it help?
Mm-hmm.
If you have a physician with or without AI, does it help them make better diagnoses? It seems like, well, of course it would. Why wouldn't it? But it's actually more complicated than that.
Okay.
So there was one study recently where they looked at radiologists making, reading X-rays or reading studies and making diagnoses. And the interesting thing is that mostly they did better with
Okay.
the AI, but some of them didn't, and some of them actually did worse
Why?
working with the AI. The study wasn't able really to answer the question why, but what that means is that probably what I assume is that when the AI made mistakes, they trusted the AI when they shouldn't have. Is one reason why they would do worse, right? They sort of gave it authority that it didn't deserve, or they may have been biased against what the AI was saying.
Right.
Is another way to think about that. But I think what this does mean, whatever the reason is, although it would be good to do further studies to try to dive deeper on that, is that you can't just throw AI into the clinic as a tool and say use it.
They have to be trained on it.
The physicians need to be trained on AI.
Yeah.
Just like anything. So like when I wrote about it, I made the analogy of MRI scans. And this is something, that we've dealt with, I think, as a profession. So for example, MRIs give you highly detailed images, right? And it's very tempting to just defer to the MRI scan.
Yeah.
And you think, well, the MRI is going to give me the answer, right? I'm just going to do I'm not going to think too deeply about the case. I'll just do an MRI scan and I'll get it and it'll spit back an answer. But that's not the way it works. Even though you're getting a very detailed image, you have to know what you're looking for. You have to correlate the image to the patient, and you have to incorporate it as a piece of information and know how to put it into context, because
Okay.
it shows a lot of stuff that's meaningless, that's incidental, that's misleading, right? More information is not always better. So that's the other way. The AI may be over-reading X-rays and seeing things that are maybe they're there, but they're incidental.
Yeah.
And then you think, oh, you have a tumor, when you don't. It's something benign. You know what I mean?
But it seems
So
clear, though, that the human needs to use the AI to help.
Yes, but
has to
if
be
you have, just like
driving.
you have to be trained to use an MRI scan as a diagnostic tool and to incorporate it into your clinical decision making, and not just like turn off your brain and just do whatever
Right.
and just go with the MRI scan. Same thing with AI. It's a powerful tool, but it doesn't mean you don't think.
Yeah,
You have to
okay.
use it as a tool. You have to put it into context, and the best case scenario, right, is when you have what humans do best complementing what AI does best. They work together basically to create an improved outcome. And in some cases, that's what we see. There is an improved outcome, so clearly that can work. But we want to make sure it's working for everybody always.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's interesting. And I think this is true more generally for AI, where if you just wanted to do stuff for you, it's problematic.
Yeah.
But if you use it as a tool, it's powerful.
Right now, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we always throw this in, though. In 2 years,
It'll be
it
different.
could be completely different. But right now, I mean, it's great to hear that it helps.
Yes.
It's great to hear that it's doing so well. And it might actually help. Could it help doctors become better at what they do?
Absolutely. There's no reason why it can't, and I do think we need to like really put resources into developing these tools
Yeah.
and putting them in at the point of patient care, as we say, like incorporating them into patient care. It has a remarkable potential to reduce errors, right? To make healthcare more efficient. Sometimes, like we get to the right answer, but maybe we didn't take the most efficient pathway to
Right.
get there.
So
we may have ordered unnecessary studies, for
So
example.
it could lower costs.
Could lower costs and improve outcomes by getting to the answer more quickly. So there's all kinds of improvements that it has, but we have to like intelligently incorporate it into clinical practice. But the final point I want to make, though, is that just because there's so much hype around AI, don't let that dissuade you from thinking that it's not a powerful tool.
Yeah, it is
It is a
tool.
powerful tool. It has the potential to transform scientific research and clinical care. It really does.
Imagine.
But it's a powerful tool. But we have to think about it that way, use it that way, develop it that way, and it's a remarkable potential sitting right in front of us. And I'm hoping, as I continue to follow this closely, that we're going to really see it reach its potential because it really is amazing.
Because of what you just said, Steve, I promise from here on out that I will do whatever my AI overlords tell me to do.
Right.
All right. I got to go pick up my
Very
son.
good,
All right.
very good.
My boy.
Okay. My boy. All right, let me stop that.
All right. I'm trying to unplug it. You know when you try to unplug something by putting your foot on the strip and you just pull
And you
it?
just, thing you're not supposed to do.
Yeah, I know, but sometimes you got to do it.
The, uh-huh.
Ian, I'd like to remind you that
Uh-oh.
that AI adventure that we just went on,
Yes.
that sucked.
It's not, it wasn't that bad.
I mean,
So
first of all,
mean.
text adventures themselves, in my opinion, are a little, on the
Yeah, I mean,
the
but that's...
weak side. But
the
for a
nature
text
of
adventure, it
them.
was fine.
It was fine. It wasn't great, but it was fine.
But it's a good example of AI where we are right now. It gets the job done,
Right.
but there's like no artistic flair.
No, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
certainly true.
It's soulless.
It's
like
soulless.
if you could
It got
tailor
the job
it,
done, but it was kind of soulless.
If you could tailor it a little bit
Yeah.
better. And plus,
But I am looking forward to
all right,
an
fine.
AI-driven, open-ended, like 3D environment.
Yes.
Video game.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, I think
Had
we're
a
gonna
great
run
time
this thing.
today.
Well, whatever.
We had a troll in the cave, and we handled the troll well.
So many bots.
We did it with respect. I didn't.
At least that guy was
completely
more
lose it,
interesting
which
than
is
AI,
great.
I guess. He was more interesting than he should be the dungeon.
All right, I'll
ogre.
see you guys next week, or actually live stream Friday. Steve?
Yeah, why not?
Okay,
Yeah.
Friday.
Why not?
All right.
Employee harassment. Thank you, Olivia. Yes. Good day. Bye-bye. See you later. We'll chat. All right, let me set
All right,
up all
TikToks.
the stuff for the TikToks. Let me switch this, and I'll change the camera. You all get to see this.
What time is it? Maybe we'll just do the 2 TikToks today.
Yeah, let's just do
Those 2 that we talked about.
Chat, did you listen to the 1000th episode? Everybody? I hear, because I didn't actually listen to it, you left the incident in the recordings.
Yes, I did. How could I not?
Oh my god. I was like, at least he'll cut this out. And then he did.
No, you
Everyone-
can't predict that.
George-
Does Jay have a nickname? Jay's nickname in the family is Jay Fuss.
Jafus.
Jay Fuss.
Jafus. Does Steve have a nickname?
You'll never find out.
Oh, thanks for just my cat. Oh God. 1000th show episode. Just for finishing the the email for this week episode. All right. Let us get to those TikToks. Let me find them again. Right, there's the lymph system and the hydration one,
Yes.
right? Yes, okay, we'll do those two. Can I even zoom in on No, I can't. You haven't listened to the episode on Spotify? Cut the best part out. Saw it on Patreon. Yeah, I was there live. Thanks for being there live. Hopefully everybody enjoyed Chicago if you were not from there. Stevia.
Stevia.
It's pretty good. It's ridiculous, but pretty good.
I hate stevia. Have you ever tasted that
Oh,
shit?
it is really bad.
It's terrible.
It's like they kind of hit the...
It is the appeal to nature fallacy in taste. It's what it is. It's like this stuff is all natural. And then there was a study not too long ago that it's bad for you. It's not even
Right.
not bad for you.
Wait, is that the What's the other one? I was going to say Eritrea, but I'm pretty sure that's a country. Erythrosol or something like that. Chat, remind me. There's another one that's like that apparently is linked to something. Who knows? Today I learned you also stream on YouTube and have an active chat. Yes, the chat is pretty active on YouTube predominantly, and then TikTok, and then maybe Twitch less so. Yeah, Twitch is a different platform. We got it.
The food tour, there was a clear
different.
winner. There was a clear winner on the food tour. It was Al's
Beef.
That sort of juicy beef sandwich was awesome.
Dipped.
The pizza sucked. It was terrible. I did not enjoy it.
Erythritol.
We had two pizzas. We had a deep dish pizza, which was actively horrible.
Yeah, it was bad.
And then we had a tavern pizza, which was
tavern style, which is like a thin crust.
a thin crust, which was edible. It was fine, but it was like eating store bought frozen pizza. But it's like it's barely even in the same food category as like a New York pizza. Let's just be serious.
Yeah, it is really depressing. And I know people were like, "Oh, you went to whatever the place, Lou Malnati's instead of Pequod's."
Whatever.
It's like Pequod's is not honestly that much better. It's good, but it's not that much better. Having been there, New York pizza and even New Haven pizza just like knock it out of the park.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just crazy.
And yes, we're 100% biased. I'm just giving you our subjective opinion.
It could be. Maybe if you grow up on that, you
person
just
who was
like
raised
that.
on New York style pizza, it was ass. It was terrible.
I feel like Chicago people having the butter crust when they come to New York, they're gonna be like,
butter crust
"Oh
is
my
bad.
god, they're gonna love New York pizza just better."
The crust, that was the thing. The bread, the pizza
Yeah,
dough,
it's just
everything
weird.
is so much better.
Yeah, it's just a little too Midwest. Sorry.
Yeah.
So you had lasagna. Well, lasagna is honestly better than deep dish. Lasagna is like when you do it right. Anyway.
Don't call it lasagna.
Yeah, don't call it that. It's offensive. Do you want to do this
Yeah,
one or
sure.
the other one? Okay.
Hydrate.
Hydration. Let's get onto it. Let me start recording. Stand by. Chat. This one is not centered. Can I full screen this? No. God dang it. I hate YouTube. It centers it all funny. Give me 1 second while I fix this. No. Take that picture-in-picture. That's picture-in-picture capture. Boop. Boop. This one. And we'll do it like that. All right, here we go. Might have to do that again because the TikTok computer just crashed. Give me a second while that reloads. She better not say coffee. I know. All the coffee people, they're upset. Sorry, TikTok. You're not going to hear this. The memory crashed. And it's giving the blue screen of death. It'll restart in a second. I wonder if I can just crop it. For this one, I'll just crop it, and we'll just do it on YouTube, and then whoops. Let me go to render, and then I'll just get it.
Yep.
Later. All right. Here.
Start whenever I want.
Yep.
So pretty much everything that you said in that video or indicated was misleading or inaccurate. Except for the alcohol, put that aside for a moment. Pretty much everything else that was listed there will hydrate you because they're mostly water, and therefore that will hydrate you. The idea that coffee dehydrates you is a common myth. It is simply not true. Same thing with tea, with energy drinks, with soda. These things will hydrate you. They're mostly water. The belief comes from the fact that they contain caffeine. And caffeine, although not all soda contains caffeine, so that was kind of lumping that into the one category there. But the caffeine is a mild diuretic. Diuretics make you pee, right? So the idea is while you're drinking a diuretic, you're going to pee out more than you're taking in, so it's going to dehydrate you, or at least it won't hydrate you as efficiently as drinking something that does not have a diuretic in it, that does not have caffeine in it. But here's the thing. Caffeine is a very weak diuretic. It doesn't make you pee that much. Not only that, if you consume caffeine on a regular basis, you get tolerant to that weak diuretic effect very quickly within a few days of daily use of coffee or tea or soda or whatever. And so it has even less of a diuretic effect once you become a little bit tolerant to it. That's more than overcome by the fact that it's mostly water, right? So if you drink nothing but coffee, you will hydrate. That will hydrate you. You will not get dehydrated. So that's just a myth. If you are dehydrated, you need to hydrate, and the only thing you have access to is soda or tea or coffee, whatever, yeah, drink it. It'll hydrate you. Don't worry about that. Especially if you're on the dry side, your body will, needs that water. It will hold on to that water. Remember, your body has ways of managing, of regulating its own fluid content, and as long as you give it access to water, that will overcome the very weak diuretic effect of caffeine. So don't believe that. What about alcohol? This is a little bit more complicated. Alcohol is also a weak diuretic, and studies show that yes, you pee a little bit more when you're drinking alcohol than when you're, say, just drinking water or drinking something else. In and of itself, though, that's not enough to really dehydrate you. There's also the fact that, if you're drinking a lot of alcohol, you're probably not drinking a lot of water or other things. You're also probably not eating as much. And, you get about 20% or so of your fluid intake from the food that you eat. So a night of drinking may not be the most hydrating of, period of time, and so you may end up being dehydrated in the morning, but it's not necessarily because the alcohol itself is directly dehydrating. It's only a little bit dehydrating, so not as much as I think a lot of people think. None of this is to say that you shouldn't make sure that you're keeping adequately hydrated. You should definitely follow your thirst, and if you're going to be in a situation that is dehydrating, like being at a high altitude. High altitudes are actually way more dehydrating than anything, discussed in this video. That includes being on an airplane. The airplanes are kept very dry because you don't want a lot of moisture buildup inside the plane. So they keep it very dry. They're pulling in air from the outside, and that air is very, very dry when you're at a high altitude. That's mainly the reason for it. And they don't hydrate the air, right? They're not humidifying the air. So they're using the the desert, literally desert-like air from the outside. Plus you're at a higher altitude. They only pressurize those cabins to around 5,000 to 7,000 feet. So you're kind of on top of a mountain when you're flying in a jet. So that's a situation that is conducive to dehydration. Keep well hydrated. Drink a lot of fluid when you're flying. If it's hot out, if you're exercising, if you're in an extremely dry environment, make sure you have plenty of access to fluid. You keep ahead of your hydration because you can get very dehydrated very quickly in those situations, and that could be dangerous. You could pass out, you can get lightheaded, etc. But for normal environments, normal activity, you could drink when you're thirsty. You don't have to go out of your way to drink a ton of fluid. The 8 glasses a day is a myth. It's not really based upon anything. Your body will moderate its own fluid intake. That's why you get thirsty. And that's why also your urine can be more or less concentrated. That's your body's way of regulating its own fluid content. So yeah, in most people, most situations, you could rely upon that. In extreme situations, keep ahead of the hydration. But all of those liquids that they mentioned are fine to hydrate yourself with. Again, not alcohol, that's different. Milk is interesting because while, yes, it's mostly water and it will hydrate you, if you have diarrhea and you're dehydrated because of diarrhea, first of all, you want to replace some electrolytes as well as the fluid. And milk is usually not a great liquid to rehydrate because that could worsen the diarrhea in some cases. So don't rehydrate with milk when you're dehydrated due to loose stools or diarrhea. Other than that one caveat, any of the other liquids are fine. Again, some extreme situations, liquids with electrolytes might be a little bit better than pure water. If you're sweating a lot, for example, you're losing a lot of electrolytes. It is better to replace some of those electrolytes as well. But don't believe the simplistic myths that like coffee is dehydrating or soda is dehydrating. That's simply not true.
Alrighty. We did that one. I got TikTok back up. Sorry, TikTokers. All right, let's do this. Boom, boom, boom. Where is this thing? Still got TikToks? Yes. Very good. Next one. Picture in picture. And we'll switch to this. Nope, we will switch to this. And there we go. All right, stand by while I record. Knock on metal that this doesn't crash. And we are rolling. Yeah, I don't want to get too much copyright.
Yeah.
All right, we're rolling.
We don't have an immune system? Of course we do. That's just simply and demonstrably wrong. There we have, 100 years of science showing us that we, in fact, do have an immune system. The lymphatic system is part of the immune system, but it is not the entirety of the immune system. What is the lymphatic system? It's basically the channels, the ways in which the body drains fluid from the tissues into your blood so that it gets removed, and into the intestine so that it gets removed, right? It goes filtered out through the kidney, filtered out through the GI system. Otherwise, fluid would build up in the tissues. And in fact, people who have impaired lymphatic drainage get what we call lymphedema. They get edema or swelling. They get tissue builds up, water, fluids build up in the tissues. Now, because it is draining fluid from the tissues, it's a good opportunity, evolutionarily speaking. So one, get rid of toxins. It's one of the ways in which our body rids itself of toxins. But also, it's a good way, since a lot of bacteria and viruses are also being drained through lymph, it's a good way to expose the immune system to invading organisms like bacteria and viruses. So we have lymph nodes, right? Lymph nodes where we have a lot of T cells, for example, which are part of the immune system. And so therefore, that's how you have that connection between the immune system and the lymphatic system. The notion that there is no immune system is utter, demonstrable nonsense. Don't believe it. Why would they say that? Because they're hawking some alternative nonsense. And so they have to, they have this conspiracy theory about how all doctors are wrong and lying to you for some reason, which makes no sense. And someone even in the comments to that video asked, well, then how do we have autoimmune diseases if there's no immune system? Which is a great question. The answer is because we do have an immune system. That's why there could be diseases of the immune system itself. And the creator says, well, that's because it's all parasitic infections. It's like, oh, okay, so somehow you've discovered that decades and decades of scientific research around the world looking into great detail about the functioning of the immune system and the ways in which the immune system could go awry, causing a whole host of autoimmune diseases. These thousands of studies that have been done by thousands of scientists over decades, it's all wrong. And you've discovered that it's all parasitic infections. That's based upon no published studies, no science whatsoever. I guess you just must intuitively know this. And then you are not able to provide any evidence to support that absolutely extraordinary claim. And somehow the parasites have been missed by medical science for decades, these magical parasites that you made up. Why is that the case? It's not as if there aren't real parasites, right? There are, and we treat them. Parasitic disease is a thing that physicians treat. So then why would they be in denial about only these magical parasites that somehow are the actual true cause of all autoimmune diseases? So this is just a nonsensical belief system that is very conspiracy oriented and is just meant to dismiss mainstream medicine so that she could sell her alternative BS. Don't believe it for a moment. Again, look it up. This information is pretty much freely available. Of course, there is an immune system.
Alrighty. Okay, I think that's
Oh boy,
it.
there's no fucking immune system. Come on, get out of
Audio's
here.
what happened to the audio? Somebody couldn't hear the audio? Audio's good. Should be good. Everybody should have been able to hear. It might have been on your side. All right, so I think that's the TikToks for this week. If you find any other TikToks and weird stuff or things that you want Steve and Jay to see that
or
is
to talk
okay
about
or talk about,
whatever.
send it to us. You can either tag us on TikTok or Instagram or any of those other places. Send it to us via the contact form on the website. Email us at info@theskepticsguide.org. You could request certain type of merch from our store if you want. We may or may
Any
not
merch
respond to
ideas,
it.
let us know.
Yeah,
We
that's
like
true.
things that are small and transportable.
That's definitely true, especially for all the different things that we have to
Yeah.
go to. We bring to Nauticon. Luckily, we can have like a truck.
Especially when we fly.
Flying is the
It's the
worst.
worst.
There's one bag usually or two dedicated. Yeah.
Usually, we cram everything we can into 2 giant bags. Basically, that's like 100 pounds, literally. We bring 100 pounds of swag.
Yeah.
And
we're like,
so-
please buy all of it.
Yeah,
Please.
please. We don't want to take it all home with us.
Yeah.
And then we sometimes we ship stuff too.
Yeah, books sometimes.
Yeah,
we'll
definitely
pick 'em up
books.
there because it's just too much.
If it's drivable, then that's great. We could throw tons of stuff in the back of
Exactly.
vehicles. But
Exactly.
Right.
Any other questions before we go? I'll just do a little wrap up here. Make sure you subscribe to the newsletter. Check out patreon.com/skepticsguide. And that's where you can hook up the Discord for that membership. You can join at the $5 level. Also, the 1000th show video is still available there. And I'm post-producing that, so I'll be able to publish that soon. As the slightly edited version, as opposed to the live stream version, which has got little goofs and gaffs all over the place. And it's a little
that's
more
the
dead air.
That's character.
Character. That's right. That's what I meant. Character. I think that's it. I think we're good. We'll see you Friday.
All right. We'll see you guys on Friday.
And that's about it. Let's hit that ending music, and we'll say bye bye. Bye bye,
Have a good day,
everybody.
everyone.